Venezuelan authorities said Tuesday that 17 people have been charged with attempting a coup since a failed April 30 uprising against President Nicolas Maduro. There are 34 people being investigated, of whom 17 have been detained and charged for having attempted a coup d'état, said Attorney General Tarek William Saab. 15 opposition lawmakers have been stripped of their immunity by the regime-dominated Constituent Assembly for having supported the attempted uprising led by Juan Guaido, who heads the opposition-controlled National Assembly. Guaido's deputy Edgar Zambrano was one of those arrested and charged, while the other 14 have either sought refuge in diplomatic missions, fled the country, or gone into hiding. Surrounded by a group of around 30 military personnel, Guaido appeared in a video shared on social media on April 30 calling on the armed forces to rise up against Maduro. But following 2 days of deadly clashes between protesters and the security forces, the revolt petered out. Maduro's government then began a crackdown on those it says were involved. Guaido, who sparked a political crisis in January by declaring himself acting president in a move backed by more than 50 countries, has so far been off limits. His main ally, the United States, has warned Caracas of the consequences that arresting Guaido would bring. Saab also gave an update on detentions relating to an alleged drone attack during a military parade last August that Maduro claimed was an assassination attempt. There have been 38 people charged, 31 have been stripped of their freedom while 7 are subject to alternative measures, said Saab. Rights NGO Foro Penal says there are more than 900 political prisoners in crisis-hit Venezuela, where a quarter of the 30 million population is in need of aid, according to the United Nations. Venezuela crisis in photos. Venezuela's political turmoil has further deepened amid growing tension over President Nicolas Maduro's future as the country's leader. Maduro started a second term on January 10 following a widely boycotted election last year that many foreign governments refused to recognize. On January 23, Juan Guaido, the leader of the opposition-controlled National Assembly, declared himself the interim president. On April 30, Guaido said, as interim president of Venezuela, as legitimate supreme commander of the armed forces, I call on all soldiers to join us. Venezuelan authorities called it a coup attempt. Pictured, a man in civilian clothes throws a tear gas grenade around self-proclaimed interim President Guaido near the airbase La Carlota during a mission with soldiers. People cross the Colombian-Venezuelan border over the partially opened Simón Bolívar International Bridge in San Antonio del Táchira, Venezuela on June 8. United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees (UNHCR) Special Envoy Angelina Jolie greets people during her visit to a refugee camp in the border between Colombia and Venezuela on June 8 in Maicao, Colombia. Juan Guaido greets supporters in Cariave, on the outskirts of Caracas, on June 8. Militia members and supporters of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro take part in a march to protest against economic measures imposed by the U.S. government, and support the CLAP local Committee for Supply and Production box, which contains basic family basket products at a low cost, in Caracas, on June 8. Militia members and supporters of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro take part in a march to protest against economic measures imposed by the U.S. government, and support the CLAP local Committee for Supply and Production box, which contains basic family basket products at a low cost, in Caracas, on June 8. UNHCR's Special Envoy Angelina Jolie delivers her speech at a United Nations-run camp in Maicao, Colombia, on border with Venezuela, on June 8. People queued across the Simón Bolívar International Bridge from San Antonio del Táchira in Venezuela to Cúcuta in Colombia to buy goods due to supplies shortage in their country, on June 8. In this handout image provided by the United Nations High Commission for Refugees (UNHCR) Special Envoy Angelina Jolie speaks with children in Rio Hacha, Colombia, on June 7. Venezuelans make long queues to get gasoline tanks for their vehicles on the 6th of June in Maracaibo. Workers of the oil sector holding a hunger strike since May 30 remain at the Plaza de la Moneda Square near the presidential palace to demand the government of President Nicolas Maduro the payment of labor liabilities. On June 4, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro, left, and Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino shake hands during a meeting with military commanders in Caracas. On June 3, supporters of opposition leader Juan Guaido yell insults against President Nicolas Maduro during a visit by Guaido to Barranca's Barinas state. On May 31, Venezuela's opposition leader Juan Guaido greets supporters during a visit to Barrancas in Barinas state. On May 31, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro along with his VP Delcy Rodriguez delivers a speech from Miraflores Palace in Caracas. On May 31, classmates of 11-year-old Eric Altuve attend his wake in a small plaza near his home in the Petare Shantytown of Caracas. On May 29, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro, next to his wife Celia Flores, waves during the launch of a fishing and aquaculture national program in La Guaira. On May 29, Gilberto Altuve hugs and cries with his daughter Shara, as Altuve's wife Jennifer Guerrero cries while holding their son Yadier Alexander, as they stand next to the coffin of their 11-year-old son Eric during his wake in a small plaza near their home in the Petare Shantytown of Caracas. On May 29, Eric died on May 26 while he was waiting for a bone marrow transplant. Demonstrators shout slogans against Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro outside the Venezuelan Red Cross headquarters where protesters gathered to demand humanitarian aid in Caracas. On May 29, people protest in front of the seat of the Red Cross in Caracas. On May 29, medical personnel, parents and patients of the José Manuel de los Rios Hospital take part in a protest due to the death of the fourth child in a month, in front of the institution in Caracas. On May 29, Mauricio Navas, Center, holds his daughter who has cancer, while speaking to members of the news media during a protest over a lack of transplants and medical treatments, in front of the José Manuel de los Rios Children's Hospital, in Caracas. On May 27, demonstrators hold up their hands painted with the Spanish phrase, "No more deaths," outside the JM de los Rios Pediatric Hospital after the reported deaths of 4 children there this month in Caracas. On May 27, goods from China are loaded from an aircraft at the international airport. On May 27, in Caracas, employees reload packages that have just arrived from China at the international airport in Maiquisha. On May 27, men wait in a long line of cars for their turn to fill their tanks during a fuel shortage. On May 24 in Maracay, a supporter of Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro holds up a banner reading, "Out Trump from Latin America," while security force members stand guard near National Assembly building in Caracas. On May 21, view of a closed gas station in the outskirts of Caracas. On May 21, cars line up to buy gas. On May 21, in Maracay, a street vendor sits in front of a mural depicting Venezuelan national hero Simón Bolívar, in Caracas. On May 21, Venezuelan opposition leader and self-declared President Juan Guaido is pictured during a meeting with professionals and technicians at the Caracas Chamber of Commerce Auditorium, in Caracas. On May 16, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Canada, Chrystia Freeland, right, speaks with Minister of Foreign Affairs of Cuba, Bruno Rodriguez, left, in Havana. On May 16, opponents of the Nicolas Maduro government chant in support of the opposition-controlled National Assembly, in Caracas. On May 16, relatives of Venezuelan soldiers and policemen who deserted to Colombia stay outside a hotel where they were staying in after being evicted in Cucuta. On May 15, Codapink and the Answer Coalition held a Mother's Day rally for the people still inside the Venezuelan embassy in Washington, D.C. On May 13, Residents of El Altillo protest as they take part in a rally of pacific protest against the government of Nicolas Maduro on May 3 in Caracas. A Colombian civil defense member helps a woman who faints at the Simón Bolívar International Bridge, on the border between Colombia and Venezuela, in Cúcuta, Colombia on May 3. Venezuela's opposition leader and self-proclaimed interim President Juan Guaidó, Sr., speaks during a meeting with oil workers at the Metropolitan University of Caracas, on May 3. In this photo released by Miraflores press office, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro, center-left, poses for a photo with troops at Fort Tiuna, in Caracas, Venezuela, Thursday, May 2, 2019. Flanked by commanders, Maduro said Thursday that the military must be prepared to combat traitors, 2 days after opposition leader Juan Guaidó called for the military to turn against Maduro. Pro-Guaidó supporters blocked the front door of the Venezuelan embassy in Washington, Thursday, May 2, 2019. A woman and her children crossed from San Antonio del Táchira, in Venezuela, to Cúcuta, in Colombia, through trocas, illegal trails near the Simón Bolívar International Bridge, on May 1, 2019.